Casualties. Fatalities. Humanitarian crises. Forced poverty. Homelessness. Orphaned infants. Marching battalions. And tensions. All because of one red flag: armed conflict. Time to wave the white flag. Time to talk peace. Session 1. Waving the white flag on armed conflicts. And the dialogue partners for this session are Yasuhide Nakayama, former State Minister of Defense, Japan.
Yasuhide Nakayama, how do you see the war in Ukraine? And I understand that your country and your party have been pushing for Japan to drop its pacifist approach. Do you think arms are a guarantee against wars?
Okay, thank you. Before I'm beginning answering your question, I would like to say thank you, CEO Sudhir, to inviting me far away from Japan, paying air ticket and very comfortable hotel. Thank you. But I'm very uncomfortable with this chair. For the Japanese people, it's too high, so make it lower next time. And also, my English skill is not so good. I learn English by myself from Hollywood movies called Beverly Hills Cop 1. So my English is a little bit rough sometimes, but I'd like to say sorry at the beginning. So, and also I'd like to say, UAE citizens, I really respect your attitude to your own president. He just passed away. I send my condolences, His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan. He opened this country, and as Sudhir-san said, His Excellency's established a distinguished work. We, the Japanese people, really respect his dignity. So thank you again and listening my beginning speech. So I'd like to answer your question. So the Mr. answered about the Estonia vision. But from Far East, how I can see the Russians' activity. 1945, 15th of August, the war ends. We, the Japan, surrender. And the emperor announced we surrender. But just after the war ends, Russia, the former Soviet Union, they invade and they took our northern territory island. And 70 years later now, they're still occupying our island. And they're upgrading lots of military facilities, lots of nuclear submarines, and they still doing real active military activities around my country. And especially last year, we had an election for House of Representatives. But just right beginning of the week, they exercising lots of, very aggressive military activity just right in front of the Pacific Ocean. Of course, Russian people said, and the politician says, in Japan, there is a United States bases, and they might have nuclear weapons. And do you remember, Japanese people? The US dropped atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. How do I answer to the Russians? Yes, of course, we never forget the atomic bombs. But President Obama came to my country, Hiroshima, and he prayed for the victims of the war. And we also went to Honolulu, Hawaii, because we fight against the United States. And we bombed to the Pearl Harbor. Of course, this is a history. And but please remember, we, the Japan and the United States, when we started the reconciliation, this is the start and the beginning of the war time. at the beginning of the war, we already started to get know each other. And now, the 21st century, we, the Japan and the United States, is the most strong allies and the most trustable friends, I think, all over the world. And we are now challenging and tackling the difficulty issues in front of us. And we, the Japan, try to make a strong strengthening during the FOIP, Free, Open Indo-Pacific. And especially the WION exists in India. India has, of course, a neutral policy, but historically, India, also Japan, is a very good friend. And we are, the friends of Quad. So I hope the Russians' neighbor is not just the Europeans. The Russian neighbor is also just Far East. The Japanese also have lots of fear and threat watching through this conflict and the invasion on Ukraine by the Russians.
Right. Yasuhide Nakayama, there's another conflict that the world is bracing itself for in the region that we call home. China has been practicing the invasion of Taiwan and practicing the invasion and spelling it out in so many words. Do you think that is where the next threat will be? And do you think that there is now the political will to stop misadventures of this nature?
I think this is a very important question because as Afghanistan gentleman said, before peace building, if the next war begins, what's happening? I mean, it's turn it over again and again. So, for example, all the worldwide media only focusing on Ukraine border now. But how about the Myanmar, Burma? There is also doing some unhuman rights activities from the strong military government. And so what about the Taiwan Strait? So after Ukraine situation, invasion by Russians, if the China learn, if the Xi Jinping is smart, I don't think he's going to try to invade Taiwan. But there is, of course, a possibility, and there is some luck. I think he's thinking the two ways. One is a peaceful way. The other one is forcing by the military action. I mean, the Chinese PLA. And which option he's going to choose is, I think it depends on the world leader of the superpower is, which is the United States of America. With the President Biden's administration, if the Xi Jinping think until the Biden's administration is continuously or suddenly stopped by the democracy of the United States citizens, American citizens, before the Biden over, or even after Biden, the China try to do action within that point, the time of the period. So this is one of the way of thinking by I think the Chinese, some high position people. But once, if they try to invade Taiwan and Japan is really close geopolitically, only 110 kilometers, the closest point. So Chinese military already calculated inside of the AZIS, anti-denial air, defense region, including our nation. So once war begins against Taiwan, I think the Japan, and also there is Okinawa Island, which has the U.S. military exist. So the U.S. and Japan have to, the China tried to involve with the two countries. So I hope that the China, Xi Jinping will select not the militaristic way, but the peaceful way. So that is my personal opinion.